Friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sumati and today we are going to continue psychology paper 1 2020. Previous classes also we discussed psychology paper 1 and 2 2021. Today we are going to discuss 2020's questions paper. The maximum marks of 250 and the instructions remains the same. Let us get into section A. You must be answer for 10 questions, each carries 5 is equal to 50 marks, and answer the following questions about 150 words. Please stick to the writing skills, and what are the major features to clinicals used to interpret research responses. How does prior knowledge shape encoding in memory? Describe psychological and cognitive components of emotions. Discuss the reason why rewards may backfire and not produce their intended result for behavior. Suggest some strategies for fostering value in Indian settings. What is the role of artificial intelligence in psychology? How can it be applied as an intervention in identifying different psychological abnormalities? Differentiate between meta memory and self instructional learning. Elaborate your answer with suitable example. Define the precursor of the development of item response theory. In what way will it help in the advancement of area of aptitude testings? Differentiate between exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis. What is their significance in test constructions? Elaborate your answer with suitable example. Explain 5 most important perspectives to define human behavior. Describe 3-stage model of memory with a special emphasis on working memory. While playing cricket, team A got into fight with team B. Discuss it is in the context of realistic group conflict theory. How can conflict resolution strategies to be used to manage and control such fights? How is quasi-experimental designs different from experimental designs? Describe different forms of quasi-experimental designs with a special emphasis on time series design. Any sort of learning takes place with the help of suitable associations and reinforcement. Critically examine that how much cognitive Gestalists and evolutionary psychologists agree with the statement. Section B, again you have to answer for 10 questions, each carries 5 marks. How can a psychologist contribute to the society during COVID-19? Describe brain plasticity and factor affecting on it. Discuss the steps involved in effective communications training. How much do family and social environment contribute to intelligence? Explain 6 primary emotions that can be identified from facial expressions, and differentiate between the Erickson's psychological and Freudian's psychosexual theories. Also explain different virtues attend to each stage of psychological theory. Explain the various assumptions and ways of performing regressions analysis, or also compare the standardized and unstandardized beta coefficients with a suitable example. Repression is a motivated forgetting process that protects us by inhibiting anxiety arousing memories. Explain its role in dissociative amnesia. Describe different personality assessment technologies and also highlight their strengths and weaknesses. How are psychological, neutral and cognitive changes associates with aging? Explain. How can grounded theory approaches help to explain layperson's definitions of happiness. Discuss in detail about different attitude rating scales. How can we measure intergroup prejudice and among students in the class using Likert scale, and how can their behavior be rectified through moral educations. Give detail facilitating and hindering factor in problem solving. Answer the questions by citing suitable examples. What are the different roles of language, and critically analyze the critical period hypothesis. That's all for this paper. We'll be continuing paper 2 also today. Paper 2 psychology, this also carries 250 marks, and instructions remains the same. Section A, each you have to write 10 questions in this. Each carries 5 marks. Without wasting much time, let us get into questions today. Answer the following questions in about 150 words each. What is mean by social integration? How can religious harmony be promoted to attain social integration in the present scenario in India? Bring out the role of social agency in the rehabilitations of persons suffering from substance abuse. Values cannot be forecast through TV and mass media. Critically evaluate the statement. What is mean by glass ceiling effect? Discuss the factor that facilitated some women to break this glass ceiling. Illustrate with some example. Women in the remote village have been deprived of development related benefits. What step would you suggest to enable women to take advantage of these benefits? Explain the nature of diversity in India's organization in India. What steps should organization take to manage diversity? What are the changes in development and uses of psychological test? Illustrate with example. Enumerate the major purpose of psychological test and educational settings, and discuss way in which psychological testings helps both the teacher and student. How does categorization as in group and out-group influence social relations? How can such influence of categorization be minimized? Discuss with example. Environmental degradations is a major issue. Explain what has led to this and how it has impacted the life of people and society in India. How media influences pro and anti-social behavior. Discuss one instance of pro-social and one instance of anti-social behavior. How can sociology contribute in maintaining IT mass media for Atmanirbhar Bharat? Discuss. Who are juvenile delinquents? Discuss the steps involved in the rehabilitation and prevention of juvenile delinquencies. What are the potential sources of stress for people working in research and development organization? Discuss some of the individual and organizational approaches in the organizations to manage stress. Answer the following questions in about 150 words each. 10 marks. Each carries 10 questions you have to attend. Each carries 5 marks. Explain the psychological conceptualization that helps in understanding the economic development. How are indigenous therapies on alternative to classical insight therapies discussed? How does population's growth impact human and social life? Discuss this in light of COVID-19 pandemic crisis. Discuss the factor that contribute to political behavior in organization. In what ways psychological tests are better tool in assessing individual discussion? Explain. Identify the discuss and the key elements contributing to effective social changes in a marginalized community. On the basis of psychology of motivational, write a program sketch for entrepreneurship development. illustrate the basic tenet of psychology dynamics and the client centered therapies, discuss the effectiveness of these therapies as forms of treatment of mental disorders. What are the some of the problems faced by defense personnel posted in tough terrain? Discuss how positive mental health can be promoted among them. Describe the evaluate the techniques used in the training for memory development. Discuss the symptoms of depression and mood disorder, give an account of etiological factors and suggest the appropriate therapeutic treatment for these disorders. In case of highly skilled professional, does their motivational come from within, or is it the result of situational factor? Explain this in the light of theories of motivation. How are schizophrenic disorders different from anxiety disorder? Explain with example. Think of social group which has been subjected to prolonged deprivation. In what ways prolonged deprivation has impacted the life of people belonging to this group? Suggest ways to mitigate this effects. That's all for the day, friends. Do like my videos and subscribe my channel for more updates. Have a great day. Bye.